Welcome back to Educational Currency. I'm Robert Namoski, proprietor of the Coaching College and Ultimate Jiu-Jitsu.
And I'm Chris Kaladikis from Maximum Education. And who's back?
Kate, the producer who forgot to take her headphones out, but I'm back.
She's back.
Hello.
Back on this side of the camera again.
Yes.
And
scarily.
what does that mean for us today?
Yes, Kate, can you explain to us what does it mean when you're on this side of the camera?
It means it's the finale of a season.
What season? Two.
Season 2,
Yes.
which means we have done 20 episodes.
There we go.
And you
Nice.
guys have come so far.
Have we actually improved?
Yeah, I don't know.
One thing I've noticed is I've stopped staring into the camera like a serial killer.
You've given some good stern looks, man.
I've watched a few of those other ones and it started to look a little creepy.
To be fair, for my one last season, I was like, why do I keep moving my hands? And I keep saying, So,
Yourself, Chris?
Oh, look, I find that I'm just like mesmerised by what people are saying to me and how many times things have gone over the top of my head. Even in your last episode was last season, like you blew me away and clearly I was like out of my field of intellect when speaking to you last time, okay? But I think today we've got a bit more of an easier topic. I think one that I'll be better at communicating with.
yes. Oh, no, you were fine last
You
time.
reckon?
But it was my special niche last time
You were
with museums.
fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Thank
So
you. But you guys asked some very good questions.
It's true. So Kate promised to not articulate her words as well, to fit in with us.
Exactly.
Okay. I'll
Speak a bit more Neanderthal.
try to use a few less syllables.
Because obviously we can't come up to your level of sophistication.
Yes.
Oh,
We don't-
you're
No, no.
making me embarrassed, guys.
No, stick to the way you're speaking. It improves us all. So, today's topic, movies.
Movies that intersect with education, whether you're a student or a teacher or a parent.
That's it. Content, you find something that you're learning out of the movies. We thought we'd chuck it out to the three of us and we're all going to say 3 movies that we like in that kind of educational realm and we're going to have a bit of a chat about them tonight, aren't we?
Absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely.
our format's a little bit looser tonight.
Yeah.
Be fitting for the end of... Oh, sorry. It's good for the end of the season.
No, it's something.
We're relaxed tonight, okay? We're relaxed.
Something a bit
We're
more
loose, we're
relaxed.
relaxed.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
You know, so I go, well, my number one movie of all time in education is Stand and Deliver.
And then Leva, so what's it about?
Well, the heavyweight champion of maths teaching that's been undefeated and no one's beaten him since is Mr. Jamie Escalante.
Wow.
The late Jamie Escalante. He was an American maths teacher, and back in, I think it was around 1982, he taught at a very disadvantaged poor school and the equivalent of our extension to maths. And what was so remarkable is he got, I think it was about 17 students and every single one of them passed. And which was an amazing achievement. They were accused of cheating because, well, this can't happen. The exam is so hard. And they got them to sit a second time. And in their second attempt, they actually got a higher mark.
Oh, wow.
And actually there's a scene on YouTube with Jamie Escalante and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, wow.
Where Arnold comes into his class and Jamie Escalante is flexing his muscles. Arnold comes in behind him, etc. So
He's a buff bloke too, is he?
Yeah.
No, he's not quite buff, but in terms of for us maths teachers, he is, for me, he is the measure of what it is to be a mathematics teacher. And I've watched a few of his YouTube comments and he goes, I've made so many mistakes in my life, you know, at the beginning when I first started, things that I thought would work that didn't work. And he was quite an inspirational figure. A lot of people do mention him when they talk. A person I follow quite a fair bit, Thomas Sowell, and the way he presents things and his economic view on things, he mentions Jamie Escalante in his speeches. And now he probably, I'd say in America, would have to be a legend. When he got sick with cancer, all his ex-students came in, funded his treatments, etc.
Wow.
Yeah, so look him up, Jamie Escalante, and if you haven't watched Stand and Deliver, it's absolutely a must to watch. At the end of the year with my Year 7 class, we actually sit and watch the movie and they all loved it.
Wow.
Wow.
So who's in it?
A young Lou Diamond Phillips.
Oh, awesome.
Oh,
Andy Garcia.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It's got a good cast.
Yeah, it's got a very good cast.
Yeah.
I'm not quite. It's quite a. Look it up.
I'll look up the rest. Even just knowing those two.
Stand and Deliver. I forgot the actor who plays actually Jamie Escalante. He's quite a known actor as well. Yeah. So it was quite the production.
It sounds awesome.
And was there something like a specific scene or a particular way that he taught his students that inspired you?
What inspired me was this is it. I'm going to get through to them.
Yeah.
I'm going to absolutely get through to them, and we are doing this.
Yeah, there's no alternative.
There's no alternative. There's no way we are failing.
Yeah.
You know, and he's the way he was driven to actually find a way to teach them, and then he got them all to work so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing I really liked about it is he got to know them individually as well, which is something I kind of like to do in the tuition center.
Yeah.
Get to know the person a little bit, get to know their story a little bit. Okay, who are they? How did they get here to me? And what angle can I use to actually teach them? And it's kind of my philosophy in here as well. And if I can find that angle, I get to learn about them, and then actually I'll probably get to learn more about myself as well in the process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of the joys of teaching in any form that you have, like whether you're a formal teacher in a school, a tutorer, or museum educator. When you teach, you learn about yourself as much as you help your student understand the world.
Oh, absolutely. If you don't learn about yourself, I believe you can't teach.
Yeah.
It's impossible. There's no way you're just regurgitating information.
Well, sometimes they say that's the best thing we can recommend for our students for their own learning. Teach it to one of your peers.
Yes.
Teach one of your peers and you realise how much you know, and then just really gets your own mind ticking about a certain level of context. So yeah, definitely.
As they were saying in the season 1, episode 9, about vaping. Was I just editing that recently?
It's it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That the peer-led
approach to
was
developing.
more successful.
Yeah.
Getting teenagers to teach other teenagers about why vaping is terrible.
Yeah.
Rather than lecturing them.
Yeah, a greater chance of success with it too, because then they're taking ownership of that plan. So yeah, that's a great connection there.
So can I ask?
Yeah.
I presume that there's probably not a lot of great inspirational math teachers in the media. That math is probably one of those subjects that gets beat up a bit or presented with a really boring teacher.
It's got that connotation of, it's dull. It's something that, most people predominantly dread going to. There's that small percentage that really enjoy it. And I'd say the teacher makes the difference.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Teacher makes the difference in mathematics. And for myself included, Year 7 maths was kind of okay. Teacher wasn't bad. But then, and we were the 4th bottom maths class in Year 8. And then Mr. Sender, shout out to Mr. Sender, he came along and, I don't know, this guy spoke and we just went quiet. There was something about him. It's hard to explain when you're a kid. And we had the top 12 positions.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, from the 4th bottom maths class.
Wow.
I didn't come first, I came second.
Really?
Yeah. I don't think I ever came first in the maths test.
Oh wow, there you go.
I always presumed that you did come first.
Yeah.
No, actually, in high school, I'd get a top 5 ranking,
Yeah.
but I'd get second. I don't think I ever got a first place.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
And then, no, actually, the one time was actually in the HSC exam for Extension 1.
Well, that's when it counts, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
And in the whole time, you do a test, you see it, you don't see it, you may get it right, and then somehow in the HSC, in the Extension 1 paper, it just lined up for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. For some reason, I had done the questions before, I'd seen how to do it, and it was nice getting 100 in your actual, when you see the transcript, you get 100 in your maths for the Extension 1 paper, and I went, wow, this never happened before.
Wow.
Wow.
I think very few people would see that too.
Yeah, and I always tell my students, it's just luck. It's pure luck. If you gave me another exam the year before or a year after, it wouldn't be that way. And so when I prepare the students now, I get them to make a journal of questions.
Oh, that's
So
a good idea.
the last thing they do, that they are doing now as we speak, you do your HSC paper, okay, you're stuck on a question. Now it's all just maths. You rewrite that question in a journal, you do it 2 days later. Okay, can you do the question from start to finish? Great, okay, keep it in the journal. Then you keep going with the questions you're answering, you rewrite that other question in the journal. So by the time you do your HSC, you've got a whole journal of questions that you were stuck on. Now start from question 1, work your way straight through. So then when you actually sit the HSC, wait, I've kind of done something similar to this before. It feels like a question I've done before, and more than likely it comes from your journal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of success with that lately. And as we speak now, at the time of this filming, the students are just coming out of their trial exams, and we've got about 7-8 weeks to really build those journals up.
Wow.
Nice.
Oh, fingers crossed for him.
Oh, more than crossed, it's on.
Good luck, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So by the time this is released, we will have your results. What about yourself, Kate?
My first movie is Matilda from the 90s. Not the recent Matilda, because I haven't finished watching it. But the 90s one, of course, I was the perfect age for it. But all the girls, I should say girls and guys, but it was mostly the girls who I was going to high school with who wanted to be teachers in late high school, all cited Miss Honey in Matilda as their inspiration for going into teaching, because I think the film does a beautiful way of showing that connection when you get the right teacher with the right student and how much they can bring out in you. So, of course, the story of Matilda, for those who haven't watched it, Matilda is a neglected child who reads a lot at the library and then discovers that because she's so smart but not stimulated, she develops a bit of telekinesis and some other superpowers. So finally her parents reluctantly send her to a bit of a crappy school, but she meets Miss Honey, who just makes learning wonderful. Matilda discovers friends. They, of course, have a terrible principal at this school who terrorises all the kids and does everything that when you're a kid, kind of between 5 to 10 years old, you think a horrible teacher will do, like stick you in a torture chamber or make you eat a gigantic mud cake for detention. And the film does a great thing of telling this whole story from a child's point of view. And I think it's got that great dictimony between school as a magical place where you learn to get better in yourself and to apply the parts of yourself that bring better things to the world, whether through your friendship groups or through your academics or just finding an outlet for your creativity. And that all of that combined can get you away from abuse and neglect or give you a better life. And also overcoming bullies. So Matilda and her friends team up against the horrible principal and give her some just desserts. And yeah, it's just very fun and hugely inspirational, as I said, for a whole generation of teachers.
Right, it is. It's a beautiful movie, you know, and for the whole family too. Like, it is a classic, and I loved Miss Honey myself too. You know, she's just such a, you know, a character of security, and you know, whenever she's with her, she feels safe.
Yeah.
You know, and she does her best to protect her and really look after all her students' well-being too. But
Yeah, she had that well-being. It was down pat.
Yeah,
it was more, if a teacher, you'd model Miss Honey onto the well-being teacher.
Yes, yeah.
You know, she's just beautiful in that aspect too. And yeah, really, Matilda has gifts, and it's about, fostering gifts in students. And, you know, she's so happy by the end of it. You know, she figures out who she is. She develops a community, which is what she was craving right from the beginning, wasn't she? You know, she was alone and at home and teaching herself. And it also shows as well how reading can be your escape.
Yes.
You know, and the fun of learning and all that. So, it's fantastic. And my kids love it.
Yeah, still works with the new generation.
It does. It's a timeless story, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So any teacher that did that for you?
Oh, I had a few. I had a wonderful art teacher in high school who really saw a lot of potential in me and helped develop a lot of that. I also had a wonderful Hizzy teacher in high school that, funnily enough, in year 8, she gave me a special assessment and I got to teach the class for a lesson.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, so everyone else had to do... I still had to hand up the same assignment as everyone else on castles, but then I had this extra one where I got up and got to teach them. I was obsessed with the Celts at that stage, so I taught them like all about like Stonehenge and stuff like that, which, yeah, again, teaching probably should have been a little higher in my post-high school thoughts.
Still not too late.
It's still not too late, no. And we will have some episodes coming up on that.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And I had a very good math tutor.
Did you do well? Lucky because you can't afford refunds.
No, yes, I totally owe my 2-unit band 5 to you. So
No, it's
thank
good.
you. Yes.
Yeah, like I said, teachers make the world of difference. And you had Miss Venturis at your school at that point?
No.
Yeah,
I was
because...
Sorry, I won't say where I was, but no, my brother had her.
You had her, yeah. She was, because like I said, I had Mr. Sender to year 11.
Yeah.
And then year 12, he went to another school. And then we had this young teacher came in. This is like an example for all young teachers to walk in. She's coming in and teaching extension too. We looked at her and we went, oh my God, we're doomed.
Why?
We had Mr. Sender for 5 years.
Yeah.
This is someone new.
Yeah.
She looks young. But she was so well prepared.
Yeah.
5 minutes up on the board, we're like, we are more than saved here.
Yeah.
And the amount of effort she put in that first year was amazing. She'd have us in for the school holidays, I remember.
Oh.
She'd roll the work out. And I'll never forget, she'd actually do the questions before we'd get them done.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and in extension to maths, that's not an easy feat to do. So that's a lot of hours of work.
Yeah.
And now she's head teacher at Georges River College.
Oh, wow. Should we get
For
her?
mathematics. We should bring her on.
We should bring her on. Although, having said that, you just brought back a memory of I still explain longitude and latitude the same way that really great Hizzy teacher showed us with an apple in class.
You have to show me.
Yeah, and she had it like cut into like half and then quarters to explain why things are measured that way. And yeah,
they do make, like I said, the teacher shapes you.
Yes.
There's that 1 or 2 teachers, if you're lucky enough to somehow connect with them, and it'll broaden your perspective, open your eyes and your mind, and not just in teaching, in your life as well.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yourself, Chris?
Over to me now, eh? Look, mine's pretty well known. My first one, I'm going to go with Good Will Hunting. And, obviously...
Tertiary.
Starting off with tertiary.
It's a whole new field.
Interesting. All 3 of mine are at all 3 different levels of education. So I am starting off with tertiary and I'll work my way backwards from there. Okay, but Good Will Hunting, obviously about a disadvantaged young man who is working as a janitor at a tertiary institution. There's a teacher there who sees that he's obviously very gifted, and during the nights he's actually solving complex equations and all that. The teacher vouches for him. The teacher is fantastically played by Robin Williams, and then just really takes him under his wing. There is that challenge for the young man in that he's in a particular socio-economic scenario where he doesn't believe he can follow a specific pathway, or he even feels like he could be possibly betraying his current community by following a pathway that is more academic. And you see him going through all those challenges. Obviously, Matt Damon plays the young man, and he's got his best friend as Ben Affleck's star, who contrasts him by being his best friend, but obviously doesn't have his gifts. And you just see that journey there. And look, Robin Williams, I know he's in Dead Poets Society as well, but he's just that ultimate teacher, that caring persona that he has. He looks into, the students in both movies and really brings out the best in them. But then also it shows the challenges in doing that. And, that obviously resonates with me, just seeing how this teacher can bring out the best in his students. It's identifying that your students can have gifts, and then how do we get to attach their gifts to a potential future, and that's something we do obviously at a high school level. All right, and then obviously this is at the tertiary level too, and how they get onto those pathways there too. So I'm a big fan of Good Will Hunting. I love what it's all about. It's just a beautiful movie there. So that's what I got down for my first.
Because what I really like, because that was very close to my selection. What I liked about it was the actual first teacher that discovered him tried to get through to him. Then he got help. So it wasn't. So even teachers, you won't get through to everyone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Some people just won't gel with you.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a good point too, because I obviously work in the TAS faculty, and in TAS you've got computing, you've got food technology, and you've got woodwork, and you can have the same student be completely different across all those three classes. You've got students who could be an absolute or perceived punish in maths and English, but when you watch them in industrial tech making their major works, they are fantastic. I'm almost going to go off on a tangent here, and probably I should have had this on my list too. But Breakfast Club's a great example of that as well.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
When they're sitting down and they're in detention all day together, but then when they actually ask the boy who's considered a brain or a geek while he's there, it's because he was going to do something very bad at the school because he couldn't pass his tech exam. He couldn't understand how to make the light bulb work. And it was actually the kid who was perceived as the bully. He could fully understand tech. And he's like, oh, well, why don't you know that? And he's like, look, I've got more important things to worry about. I worry about science and research. That's what the world needs. And then the bully goes back to him, well, without light bulbs, people won't be able to see at night.
That's right.
Just the value there. So, that's a massive point that, not every teacher and not every subject is going to connect with every student there. We'll show it down Breakfast Club now.
we can add it in.
We can add it in.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
honourable mention, Breakfast Club.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the wrestler. The wrestler. In the Breakfast Club, the actual wrestler.
Oh, Emilio Estevez.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good the way they got all the kind of archetypes, brought them all together, and that's just a fantastic movie. And and the soundtrack.
Absolutely.
And don't you forget about me.
You got a good voice, Chris.
I don't know. You might have to dub me out of that.
I'll check the copyright.
Yeah, people might not be able to know the difference. But they're fantastic movies there, and that's it. But Robbie, back to you.
Back to me, I'd have to say Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Ooh.
4K version.
And he bought props.
Yes, well...
I forgot to bring props.
Well,
Shaming us.
Well, in my family, we rate movies. Are they 4K worthy?
Oppenheimer's 4K worthy.
And I get teased a little bit. You can download them, you can stream them, but it's not 4K. See, I'm old school. When I want a movie, I want to go to JB Hi-Fi. I want to pick it, smell it, look at it, own it, buy it. This is mine now. So when I open it up like this, and I get that sense of satisfaction of going, this is a movie. I get to click it, place it, and press record.
Look, you're smart, because there's a big thing on physical media at the moment.
Yes.
It's the best way to own it, because streaming services can stop it at any point. You'll always own it.
Thank you. So all my family friends that are teasing me I'm old-fashioned, from the expert.
From the expert.
I'm the IT man.
There's the IT man.
He's ahead of the game. Everyone's going to be buying physical media again soon.
That's right. And it shows his journey actually through university.
Yeah.
And he wasn't a great student. He actually couldn't do his experiments at all.
That's right.
At all.
Yeah.
So as a scientist, you can't do these experiments. So he picks a field that is just new, and people are like, well, what is this? Theoretical physics. Coming into the atoms, etc. And only when Heisenberg actually, they split the atom, and they went, oh, wait a second. Who do we know that's actually close to the field? They only had one person to pick, Oppenheimer.
Yeah, wow.
And, well, he's obviously famous for creating the bomb, but he didn't create the bomb. It was 3,000 scientists and close to, $2 trillion in Australian, in today's money did that. And obviously the necessity of war, thinking, well, was Germany 2 years ahead of America in creating this weapon, and then obviously everything else that shaped our world today with the advent of atomic energy, atomic weapons, and obviously nuclear power. So his journey was quite unique. He's quite a unique character, even when you watch him, he's in real life, and you go, okay, he struggled a lot with a lot of things. But in the end, he basically, you could say, he shaped the world we know now.
Yeah.
Massively.
Yeah.
I know, it was just like I haven't actually watched the movie yet, but I do love the director Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
And you know, and I think I said to you before when the whole Barbenheimer thing was happening, being a family man, I went and saw Barbie. But yeah, I didn't even actually know that they showed that kind of the younger Oppenheimer going through you know, his own education, all that. So I'm very intrigued to watch it. So hopefully I'll go watch it soon. And you know,
it shows that he's it shows that journey where you don't have to be super great at things, but if something interests you, and you know, splitting the atom, etc., interests him, well, you know, he's a world famous name now. You know,
and that's what it is about, finding your niche in life. And I guess that's what he did. He found his niche. While it led to a very dark scenario, he was the expert in that area.
I think
that could be argued.
Yeah.
Because we've had more world peace now.
Yeah.
In a long.
And it stopped things, like it definitely stopped a certain part of the war, like that event.
Yeah, so it gave us an abundant source of energy. So if you look at nuclear power and you'd go, okay, what would be, think of a country, what would you say is the most greenest country in terms of their energy?
Oh, I'm working somewhere in Scandinavia, I'll be guessing.
France?
I was going to say France.
Yeah, France.
Yeah.
But
They have the nuclear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So France have 94% of the energy is nuclear. Now, when you see those Greenpeace protests where they've got those hoses and they're hitting the Greenpeace ships, that's the French shooting the Greenpeace ships down from their testing in the Pacific.
Yeah.
Oh.
In the 80s.
Yeah.
So in the 80s, France was probably the biggest enemy of Greenpeace.
Yeah.
Oh, but now it's like come full
Now it's come full circle. So you can actually see, nuclear energy could have its place in actually fixing the global warming or even pollution.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And don't forget all the medical advances.
Oh, absolutely.
As well, that has come from it, like so many cancer treatments.
Yeah, my cousin works at Lucas Heights.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
I know someone else who also works at Lucas Heights.
And
it's a small world.
And my cousin works at Lucas Heights, and my brother's father-in-law used to work there. They've got phenomenal facilities. All the medical research that goes on there is next level, he tells me. So maybe we can bring someone in to give us an education on nuclear power.
I think I need it.
Yes. Me too. Me too.
Sorry, my one thing I wanted to say with Oppenheimer when I watched it was, one, he found his niche, but also two, he was very good at bringing in other people when he needed extra skills. So I think that was one thing that made his program really successful.
He knew the overall dynamics of it, but the intricacies. 3,000, was it 3,000 or 6,000 scientists got together to create the atomic bomb. One person did not create the atomic bomb.
No, it was a team, and they made like their own little town.
Yeah. So it and I think it's historically accurate.
Mostly, yeah.
Yeah, mostly. I mean, you got to give something for entertainment.
You've got to have a little bit of creative license to frame someone's life story dramatically. As well. Yeah.
And compress it into, I think 3-hour movie.
Yeah.
You haven't got much to work with, so you got to really push it to make it as good as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. So Oppenheimer. If you haven't watched it, shame on you.
Oh, thanks, Rob. Bobby's all right, okay? Bobby was okay.
All right, yeah.
All right, it's pretty good. He's just a Ken, okay?
Just a Ken, all right?
Anyone else could be a 10.
You know what? I haven't watched Barbie either, so maybe we should swap.
We'll swap movies.
We'll swap movies.
Yes, definitely.
Yourself?
Back to you, Kate.
No, back to me. Oh, changing pace and a lot lighter tone. My second movie is Mean Girls, again, the original. Because one, that came out right in the middle of being in high school. So it was very accurate, especially going to a girls' school at that time. But I found out afterwards it was so accurate because it was actually based on a non-fiction book of, I think, a therapist, psychologist, who used to go into schools to teach anti-bullying seminars.
Is that the book Queen Bees and Wannabes?
Yes, Queen Bees and Wannabes, correct. And I also did read that at the same time.
Yes.
And so that's why the movie, even though it's a comedy, even though it's exaggerated, and a teen comedy at that, it really does hit home with the dynamics of the toxic friendships and the backstabbing. And, yeah. But it's also very funny and, highly quotable for a particular cohort of young women now.
Well, young everyone. I love it too. I love it. Yeah, it's a great movie. And peak Lindsay Lohan, obviously.
Yes,
she's just at the top of her career there. And just what I love about the movie too is, she progressively becomes one of the mean girls. She went in obviously against them, we're going to stick up to them, and then she becomes the alpha of them.
Yeah.
It's just really interesting how they show that, how naturally it can happen. Young people should see that. Like sometimes you think you've got it in for someone and they're the bad guy, but then your traits start to become negative, and then you realise you're the person causing the trouble and you don't even realise it.
Especially when both the friendship groups that she's going between, the arty kids and the plastics, they're both encouraging her to be toxic.
Yeah.
As much as she initially thinks that the art, Janice and the gay friend, I'll add his name in post, I'm sorry, that they're a safe haven because she's just come to the school and they're explaining how all the groups work. They end up being untrustworthy in their own way. Everyone has a lesson to learn, I think, too. And also, the older you get and the more you rewatch it, I find the more I strongly identify with the teachers.
Which is common with many of the movies we're saying today.
Yes. Yeah. So, have you seen Mean Girls?
No, I've read the book Queen Bees and Wannabes. I haven't seen Mean Girls, but I read the book. I've obviously got a teenage daughter.
Yeah.
And
is it still relevant today?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I read the book and went, okay, because, I've obviously trained martial arts, so my daughter to be safe, she can protect herself really well, so great, no problem. Yeah. And in year 2, a boy, quite a physical boy, pushed her. She pushed him back. He spat in the face. She threw something at him. The boy went to tackle her. My daughter sprawled on him. She flattened him onto the ground. And then she came back and she goes, Daddy, back then, because bloody Peppa Pig, this boy, this and this happened. You okay? Yeah. Now everyone's too scared to war with me. And I was proud. Yeah, that was their language. I go, proud dad moment. Okay. 3 months later, a friend of hers takes something off her. Okay. She wants it back. The friend won't give it back. Every time she tries to get it back off her friend cries.
Yeah.
My daughter's devastated.
Yeah.
So speaking to her every night, I can just take it. How hard is it? Grab it, take it. You can physically overpower her easily. I've trained you for this. How? You're breaking my heart. All those tournaments. But I went, okay, let's just hear this out. So again, the following night, okay, did you try? No. Okay, just don't try for a little bit. And I went, borrow something of hers that she likes. Yeah. And then swap it.
Yep.
Okay, and from memory, it was a while ago, I thought it worked, and I went, being female's complicated.
It is. And I think Mean Girls, like I was saying, it also showcases how psychological girl bullying is. Guys go and punch each other. Girls kind of, there's a lot of undermining, gaslighting, a lot of social whispers to kind of like change the dynamics of who's supporting whom.
Oh, wow.
What, you
we don't get that, do we?
We don't get that.
You don't get that?
We're simple.
No?
Men are very simple creatures. Yeah. That kid is staring at that kid. That kid obviously doesn't like that kid. Yeah. They're about to hit each other. Stop.
Yeah, run in there. Run.
Yeah.
But it's a lot more quieter with the girls, isn't it? But some things are happening.
Oh, God, yeah. So, there's a lot of Mean Girls that kind of was a bit too close to home.
Yeah.
But in a funny way, so at least you can laugh at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. My one criticism would be it again, because of its time and it's a teen movie, it doesn't quite show you. It shows a good resolution, but it doesn't inherently, and it's not its job, give the audience the tools to improve things in their life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The book does.
The book does.
Yeah.
And I also liked in the book, what I remember, it's a long time since I read it, was it explained very well how in a group situation people take on like different roles.
Yes.
In the group. So like in the movie, Gretchen has a very particular role of sucking up to Regina and kind of making Regina feel bigger. And one of the other characters is always the gossip. So, yeah, girl groups definitely do that in high school.
Does it break up if they're co-ed? Is it more watered away or?
I'm not sure. I think some of the priorities change. I think when you're in an all-girls environment, like, say, the academics of it becomes a focus sometimes of the dynamic, if that makes sense.
Okay. The reason why I'm asking, I'm moving into a school now.
Oh, okay.
Where they're co-ed.
Yeah.
Yeah, going from an all-boys school to a co-ed school.
We might have to revisit that.
Yes. I'll give you my experiences.
You'll have a perspective.
Yeah.
It'll be great for you to learn.
A year into the co-ed school, I can see give you the dynamic differences.
Yeah.
What I'm used to in a really, really good all-boys school.
Yeah.
And now I'm moving into the same really, really good co-ed school. So,
Yeah.
Interesting. Yourself, Chris?
Well, look, probably following on from you, I'm going into high school, as I said, now too, and also a movie with a female protagonist as well. I'm going with Looking for Alibrandi.
Classic.
So Looking for Alibrandi as a text was one of my high school texts at school for the HSC.
The book or the film?
The book.
The book.
Yeah,
okay.
so we had to read it,
Yeah.
and like I mentioned before, I'm not really a big reader. I've never have been, but I got through that quite easy. I really connected with Josie Alibrandi, and just her journey, about, as the name suggests, discovering who she is, the complexity of her family, going into her roots, and how that has kind of influenced her own life. Her and her relationship with her parents, who in the movie are separated, but obviously she's still trying to work at developing their relationship there as well. Her relationship with her peers, and just it really gives an insight now, looking at it from the perspective as a teacher, to how complex our young people's lives are.
Yeah.
And particularly in my job too, like the way students live these days, they all have a story. And while we all have stories, but, to deal with it at that age, and while you're going through so much change in your life, like the movie, I think the book and the movie both convey it so well. So like, it is a beautiful story. It's got a very happy ending, of that self-discovery, and, and once again, showing how influential people in your lives can help bring that out and bring you to those points. So like, it's just a great story on that front. Some interesting trivia too. When I actually did my first prac, it was at the same school as Marlena Macheta, the person who wrote the book, but I didn't have the confidence to say anything to her.
Really?
But in retrospect, I really should have said something to her.
Yeah.
I really should have too. And then the other bit of trivia too is Pia Miranda. If I was to describe my wife, it's a cross between Pia Miranda and the Veronica's sisters. So it was a very influential story on me, okay? And I think her life very much follows that of Looking for Alibrandi too.
Nice.
So, but like I said, it wouldn't just apply to girls, it applies to everyone.
Yeah.
Even just that of being from an ethnic family in Australia, the Australian journey of people in schools, which many of us are. We have with ethnic backgrounds from all over the world too. And just, the discovery and the influence of your heritage there are just beautiful story.
Nice. And also a lovely way to capture a year in the life of an HSC student.
Yeah, it
well.
is. And that's what I mean. It was timely for me, I was reading that she's doing her HSC, I'm doing my HSC, and just, everything going on behind those scenes, that is real. That is what our students are going through. They've got complex lives, things going on with social groups, family, love interests, peers, all of it, and just, it's just a great way to look into that. Very true, very real.
Nice.
That's it. So, that's it. Fantastic. You watched it, Rob?
No.
You haven't seen
Add it
that
to your
one.
list, Rob.
I've got to add it to the list.
Oh, you're gonna add it.
Barbie, looking for Alibrandi.
That's right,
Yes.
write them down.
And Mean Girls.
And
Yeah.
Mean Girls.
You haven't.
So making a pact here, we shall watch each other's movies.
I think
Yes.
so.
Yeah,
Done.
that sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%. I've got to watch
Definitely.
Oppenheimer, but I've got to watch Stand and Deliver as well.
Well,
Yeah.
someone has a 4K DVD.
I
that
know.
you can borrow.
Maybe you can lend it to me. Though I might have it on streaming already.
Oh,
No, don't do it.
that's not in 4K though.
It's not, it might be. I don't know. We'll have a look into that. We'll see how we
Yeah.
go. All right, we'll jump back to you, Rob.
My final one, on 4K, Interstellar.
That's a good movie.
Absolutely.
That's a
You
good
know,
movie.
and
Sell it to me, because this is one of the few films in the last few years that I actually I turned off after
Everyone-
40 minutes.
now everyone loves the sci-fi movie, loves the entertainment of sci-fi movie, but this movie brings the physics down as realistic as possible. So it would be the planet's Earth's coming to an end due to whatever the reason was. Okay, as humans, we need to leave the planet. How would that be? What would that look like? And what would it take? And then obviously they discover a wormhole, and basically what that is, you can think of space as sheets, and it's like a hole through one sheet to the other. You can get from one
Like
end,
a pencil.
like a pencil. You can get from one end to the other end, but it looks like a sphere. That is theoretical physics. Then it goes into what would it be like in a black hole towards the event horizon? What would it be like landing on a planet close to a black hole? The time dilation you'd have with Earth. Well, obviously we have that problem with our satellites. Every time you have a GPS unit, there is a slight time dilation that needs to constantly be recalibrated. Then it moves on to, well, things that we still don't know about, the third, the fourth, the fifth dimension. What would they be like, etc. And it's brought together into a really good story where, shall I ruin it for you? The storyline or?
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
I'm very anti-spoiler, but
Yeah. Yeah, have you
I've seen it. I've seen it though. I'm
You've seen
okay.
it,
I just
though.
don't like spoiling movies.
I
Yeah.
have read many reviews of
Yeah.
it.
And
not
so,
watched it.
so if you're looking for a super high impact George Clooney sci-fi movie where, you know, they're about to die and something, then they save themselves in space, which doesn't happen in the real world, really into space.
Really?
Yeah, I think we were discussing it before we were filming. We've had a few tragedies, you know. Whereas this gives you that proper science. I forgot the physicist's name that was involved with the movie, and into an actual really good story of a father's love for his daughter.
Yeah.
And then him coming back years later, watching his daughter, you know, on her deathbed as an old woman with her family around, etc. But his daughter becomes the actual physicist that actually works those equations out to actually leave the planet, etc.
Oh.
So it's an impact and it shows the impact that we as parents have on our kids. So even though he left his daughter, technically came back was 40, 50 years later, for him it was in the span of a week, she still had that impact of his dad being a physicist and her continuing on in that way. So it shows the impact, like I said before, as parents, what we do for work as well, our children watch. So it's one of those things that, you know, as a parent, you can talk to your child about what you actually do for work.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe they could follow the same field or better, turn them into teachers or something else.
Yeah.
Have you seen Arrival with Amy Adams?
Yeah, that's
Yes.
fantastic too.
Yes.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a very similar theme,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
with language instead
Yeah,
of
that's
time dilation.
that's when they're trying to communicate to the actual alien.
Yeah.
And through maths is actually you could communicate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the how you communicate too. Like that one goes in the whole like there's no beginning and end. It's like I remember how the alien shot kind of sprays out and like
In like a
it's-
circle.
Yeah, it's completely
Yeah.
different in how they comprehend, and that is in line with their view of time and how their society works there too. And
Yeah, 'cause-
that affects her mind and how it works then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because then they're saying that they've got the fourth dimension. Once you can comprehend or see the fourth dimension, then there's no beginning or end. It's just together at once. And people explain that on YouTube. You can see diagrams where, we can only see in the third, or maybe a diagram in the second dimension. You can pick the dimensions you want to work with, etc. And we spoke about Einstein's relativity and the YouTube
Parallel universes, theoretically possible.
No, not theoretically possible.
Mathematically possible?
No, they just needed to solve a mathematical equation to explain Einstein's
theory of relativity.
Theory of relativity.
Yeah.
But so that's my movie.
I gotta say, look, it hits hard. Even when you're just talking about it.
Yeah.
Like, I love Interstellar. I love everything Christopher Nolan. But yeah, the way it comes together, and like you said, it's heavily scientific too. Yeah. But then it's emotional level, like with the love between, a father and his daughter and vice versa. But then also the romantic story in it as well. Like, it's just done so well. And even how that is kind of in correlation with the science, that we're more than just scientific beings, we're spiritual beings. And I also agree with you too in what you said about how what we do in front of our children influences it. And we mentioned this on the podcast before, that it's important that, our children do see us working hard, doing passion projects, because it teaches them they can do it too. And it is so important. And they will, everything that we do, they watch closer than anyone else. As role models, and clearly it's evident in the daughter of that movie too. So it's fantastic. Give it another chance. Give it another chance. It hits hard by the time you get to the end.
Here you go.
Okay,
there you go.
There we go. Okay. I tried really hard.
Have you got a 4K player?
I'm just going to say yes.
Please, any sponsors? We are broke. We had a sponsor, but then they went broke.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
One episode at a time.
True.
Yeah.
Yes.
True.
Yes.
Your movie?
Yes. Okay. My final one, kind of leading on from that thing of children observing and taking in what the adults around them say and do, is it's not school based, but Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah.
One of my all-time favourite films, because it's gorgeous, it's atmospheric. It's kind of told like a fairy tale, which I always love. You've seen it a long time ago.
A long time ago.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
But for the YouTube audience, it's about set in the Spanish Civil War in the 1930s with Ophelia, a young girl whose mum has just remarried, and she's got a horrible stepfather in the is it the fascist?
Yeah.
Spanish.
The fascist party.
Yeah. Bad guy who's hunting the rebels in the forest, so they have to go to this outpost in the middle of nowhere, and her mum's having a very difficult pregnancy with a little baby brother on the way, and basically Ophelia escapes the pressures of her life through fantasy, but it kind of depends on your viewpoint whether her fantasy is real or not. And of course there's a lovely framing device that, again, if, as we were talking about before we hit record, of if you see it as a fantasy, spoilers, the movie has a happy ending. If you're a very logical person and you just think she's escaping into her own made-up world, then it's a bit of a downer of an ending. But what I really like about it is that between her mother, who's very subservient and very sick and doesn't want to make waves, the stepfather, who's just horrible, tyrant and very demanding, and the rebel Mercedes, who's undercover in the kitchen, who actually brings some comfort to Ophelia, plus the character of Pan himself, who's like this big goat creature that's equally fascinating yet scary.
He's a fawn, isn't he?
He's a fawn. Sorry, he's a fawn.
But that's still, you need a description for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderfully acted by a very talented actor under all that makeup. As well. It just totally brings it to life with all the horns.
Yeah, and it's all practical. And it's that beautifully done. And
it's just stunning filmmaking. But between all those influences, basically, it's, again, a bit like Matilda, a child kind of looking at the adults and the world around her and going, how can I make this better, or why do I have to copy this person if they're a bad influence, and kind of discovering the power in herself, which I quite like.
Yeah, and you've already kind of said it, but I'd rate the bad guy in that movie probably in the top 3 worst bad guys. Evil bad.
Yes.
He's another level too. But yeah, that movie is one of the most visually beautiful movies there is. Like, you know, how do you pronounce the director's name? Is it Guillermo del Toro?
I said it once in front of a friend who speaks Spanish, and she laughed for about 5 minutes.
Yeah, I know the last name Del Toro, but I can't pronouncing his first name.
I say Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah, that sounds better.
But yeah, I'll get Anna to help me fix my pronunciation.
Can you dub us both?
Guillermo del Toro.
Is anything okay? That's right. But his vision and just there are some of the scenes in that movie are just iconic. Like you can look at those one scene and they're just amazing. The feast scene.
Oh yeah, I was going to say the feast scene with the white man. Hey, you did that well. Yeah. Which again, like that scene, apart from it being cut together, you know, really good pacing, really good filmmaking in terms of like building up the terror.
Yeah.
Like the point of that scene is, you know, the fawn tells her that very typical Christian message of, you know, don't eat the food that's tempting you. Yeah. And then she does eat it and she has to run away. Because I saw a great review of it once that was explaining it as the disobedient fairy tale. Yeah. That everyone tells her what to do, but she gains the most by being disobedient. Wow. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's good. With the ending, I don't know, maybe I could be more on the pessimistic side. So it is. I think it's a hard ending and a hard finish for me, but I love it. I think it's such a fantastic movie. It's so beautifully done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like to think that she, again, spoilers, that she gets the life that she deserves.
The happy ending.
The happy ending.
Yeah.
Even if the people in this world have to live with the sad consequences of things. But as again you said before we hit record, you know, one of the best lines to get back at the villain of you will not be remembered.
Yeah, that's it. Eliminating his legacy.
Exactly. Yeah. And you know, I think sometimes teaching and education is about eliminating bad legacies.
And that's generational.
Generational, and finding each generation finds its own new path by looking at the generations before it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay. Yourself?
And down to my last one, and I have to call upon one of my most favourite thespians there is.
Yes.
One Mr. Arnold Schwarzenegger. And my final choice is Kindergarten Cop. And
classic.
Before anyone does any judgments, okay, I think...
This is a judgment-free zone.
It is a judgment. I don't know. I do like a little bit of judgment.
I judge.
That's right. We're going to be judgment zones, okay? All right, but I believe it beautifully captures an outsider entering the area of teaching. The way Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's a hardened cop, he's dealing with drug dealers, you know, violence all around him, and he's calm, cool and collected. Yet he enters a kindergarten classroom and it ruins him. You know, you see it, you know, it was horrible. He lies flat out on the bed. He's got the kid asking him about his headache. Do you have a tumour? Like, it's got all the great Arnie lines in it, obviously, too. But you see that challenge. But then, obviously, once again, through the movie, through his journey, he finds beauty in it. And particularly in the early childhood education, the kindergarten years, and I'll even throw it into, what our preschool teachers do as well. How they are such beautiful years, because those are the years where you're inspiring learning. You really are putting into children the love for education. You know, and he learns that obviously from his love interest too, and she's telling him how beautiful kindergarten is and all that. And then he begins to see that. He begins to develop relationships with the students. And then from there, developing relationships with the teachers and the community. And that's another important area of schools. You're in a community, you're working with families, and, you know, he becomes very invested in it. You know, he's then, you know, doing other things, beating up dads and stuff like that. You know, it's just awesome, you know. So I think it's just a fantastic movie for showing you that, the beauty of kindergarten. And then, you know, I now look at my kids now, and 2 of them have gone through kindergarten. My last one will go in next year. You know, and just, I do think that kindergarten teachers and early childhood teachers are just such special people. requires a lot of patience.
Yes.
A lot of
Yeah.
patience. And, you know, for anyone who's a parent out there too, you know, when you think of your own children and you times them by 30,
Oh, God.
you see that challenge. But then when you see your kids coming home, how proud they are just to be learning anything new. They'll all find different interests in the different topics and subjects, which will work all throughout school. But just seeing that love for learning being developed, I think it does a fantastic job of that. And Arnold's always fantastic.
Well, absolutely. But it goes back to his classroom management.
It does. But it is interesting
Yeah,
because when he
absolutely.
starts,
No,
he
he got
tries to
torn.
go in hard, doesn't he?
Yeah, got torn to shreds.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He went in hard, he didn't get to know his kids, he got torn to shreds. And then he actually built a system where he connects with them. He brought the whistle system in. So, yeah, that's fantastic too, you know. And that worked for him. His peer teachers, they had different ways about it, but he found his way of connecting with the
That's
students.
right. And he only got successful till he built that relationship with the other teachers. Otherwise, on your own, you're dead in
You're
the water.
on your own, you're done. Your
Yeah.
peers are everything. They're your support network in the classroom.
Absolutely. Yeah, I found that's a really good movie.
Yeah.
I
Have
have
to admit.
fond memories of watching that.
Oh,
as a
it's
kid.
good, you know, and it's in peak Arnold period. You know, I don't know if he takes his shirt off in this one. This one was one of the first movies.
Yeah.
He doesn't get the rig out, but you know, he's actually relying on his comedy in this one as well. So it's a fun watch. We can't watch it as a family yet because some of the drug dealing and violence probably is maybe a little bit too much for the kids. Even though when we were young, probably our parents let us watch it.
Oh, God.
It was a different time.
When my daughter asked me, what movies did you watch when you were young? Okay, didn't your brother mention Freddy Krueger?
Yeah, the Friday the 13th movies and all that. We could watch them when we were kids.
Oh, we were 13 years old. We came out normal.
Didn't impact us at all.
No, not at all.
No, yeah, so that's a whole other interesting thing, you know, just with how standards has been changed with, you know, what is suitable for young people and all that, because, yeah, we had it pretty tough. But I'll also say, too, and it's actually interesting because one of my students from last year told me, like, you know, we all grew up, you know, around, well, probably mainly me too, in the 90s. And the 90s was a very unique time for film because it was the period where the most original films came out.
Yes.
And they were trying a lot of new things, and it was very star-driven in original products, whereas now we're very franchise-driven. But they can't really veer away from that now because all you really have is the theatrical box office, because once you hit streaming, like, it is rare that people will buy physical media, and that used to be the second wave of income. And so it's had an impact. So it's actually, that's why we're not seeing these imaginative and, you know, original ideas and unique risks in movies coming out as often, you know. And so it is great, like, you know, Christopher Nolan,
Yeah,
he's in his own field because he's an artist, and even Guillermo del Toro as well, you know, another artist there. But it's funny, you know, they are anomalies. You know, hopefully we can see, you know, that generation of artistic expression come through, especially for the young people these days, the prospering filmmakers who can all tell their own stories too.
I found that too when I was looking at setting a film study unit for my Year 7 English tutoring class and my Year 10 tutoring class. And both of them I made a short list of films that we could watch. And then I was like, why are they all films that kind of like stop at 10 years ago?
Yeah.
And I had that weird moment like Principal Skinner going, is it me or is it the kids?
Am I so out of touch? No, it's the children who are wrong.
Must be the kids. Movies
Yeah.
stopped being good 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it just mostly came down to that creative or even like a decent middle of the road cinema. Like Kindergarten Cop probably wasn't a massive budget.
No.
But it had the star power to sell it.
Yeah.
Whereas if it was made these days, it would probably be a Netflixed
Yeah, I know.
movie,
Which is
cheaply
unfortunate.
made, which some of them are okay.
Yeah.
But some of them are not.
And they can get, I guess, in that medium too, they can get lost in the mix.
Yeah.
You know, and that's hard because it's even a different time now too when it comes to those superstar actors, like, because there are superstar actors still now, but the second they veer away, like a lot of them are, like the actors in the superhero movies, they are fantastic and I love them all, but for some reason it just doesn't hit as hard when they do go away from it. Whereas in the past, like when Stallone or Arnold Schwarzenegger did any movie, it was a big deal.
Yeah.
You know?
But there was anticipation. There's no anticipation. You sit there, you hit the button, you stream it, you watch it. I'm not sure, I'll watch something else, you stop it. Whereas when you're anticipating a movie, the only place you can watch it is the cinema.
Yeah.
Now you have to make that effort to see the time, buy your ticket, line up, walk in, and off you go.
I don't miss that part. I don't miss the lining up.
Yeah.
Now that we can get our ticketed seats.
Oh, even
yeah.
yeah, but then there's no effort to actually get there.
Yeah.
So the less effort, the lazier you become, the more disengaged you become. You can even see that with concert tickets and everything else as well. You know.
Well, it's funny you said that because someone posted a video from Ibiza, you know, and it was obviously, you know, one of the big concerts that take place, and it's just got everyone there holding a camera. And then they went back to 2004, 20 years ago, and everyone's pumping and dancing, you know, and loving it. Our vintages, you know.
How
weird, yeah.
How was 2004 20 years ago?
2004 was 20 years ago.
No, that was 5 years ago, wasn't it?
We wish.
I'll even give you better. 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Literally.
So the 70s.
90s. Although when I was born, Elvis was alive. And then my kids asked, who's Elvis? I made them watch the movie.
Yeah, good.
But yeah, even for example, Taylor Swift, it was great. Probably the biggest concerts they have. Man, there's a lot more people watching Guns N' Roses and Skid Row at Eastern Creek. It was about 120,000.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Wow.
But again, Ticketek would open up at 9 a.m.
Yep.
2 a.m. we're waiting in line. People are singing songs, got their hats, they got their tents out, etc. Again, you put that effort in for something that you valued. And then when you put that effort in, you had to pay for it. So your choices were restricted. So even that's why you get people following bands more than they would now. Because you had to buy that record, you were stuck with that record, you listened to it. When they came in concert, off you go. Whereas now, you can just go on your Spotify, I'll listen to this, I'll listen to that, I'll listen to this. So does that really dull our senses down? Do we, wouldn't say not appreciate the music, but when you have so much choice, you get so lazy with it. You can actually, I forgot what was the word you'd say, you don't actually comprehend the artist as much.
Yeah.
Oh, you nailed it because ironically, like I've got two older sisters, and you know when I was younger and getting into music, one of my sisters gave me Madonna's Immaculate Collection, and the other one gave me Bon Jovi's Crossroads, and that I just listen to them over and over and over again, you know, and still two of my favorite musicians, you know. But you're right, I appreciated it and listened to it and loved them, you know. Still my favorite music to dance to, probably, you know.
So what's this generation going to be like when they get older? Will they have those memories?
You don't know.
They'll have their own version.
Their own versions, yes.
Although I'm interested to see, as someone who, again, came of age in the 90s and the noughties and had that, like, first wave of internet culture, what this next generation's, and it's not even Gen Z, it's the one after that at the moment with TikTok and that, again, because so many of my tutoring kids are not really consuming a lot of media and text. So I always ask them, what's your favourite movie? What's your favourite podcast? What's your favourite TV show? Because that engages them. Because they don't often read books. Yeah. That's okay. We're working on it. But basically it comes back to, do you think they're going to have really hardcore memories of a TikTok video as opposed to lining up, getting tickets for their first concert? Physical tickets.
Yeah, investing energy, as you said.
Yeah.
Well, my daughter remembers the Bon Jovi concert.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, wow, I went to the Bon Jovi concert.
Proper rock icon.
Yeah. And his voice was quite shot at the moment, and it's a really good Netflix series, and you see why. I highly recommend it. But that memory was seared and created. And she was quite upset with us because we didn't take her to Evanescence.
Yeah.
Oh.
How old was this for you and your wife?
Yeah, me and my wife went. Phenomenal singer.
Oh, she's
41 at her peak. The way she sang, you go, wow, it doesn't capture it on the actual CD. But yeah, so I guess there is a way, if you do put the effort in with our kids, you can still create those memories.
And bring it on to them.
And bring it on,
And I think the other thing too is when you've worked so hard, you've lined up, saved up, and you know invested so much into seeing someone. When you get to that concert, you do lose it. You've given so much energy, and now I'm here.
That's
You're
right.
going to be screaming your voice off, losing your voice, dancing like a maniac because it was such a journey to get there. Whereas now, you sit behind a computer, you press a button, you get the ticket, and you know it's all very clean, and you get it.
So that's why, buy your movies.
Get your physical copy.
That is the moral of the story today, everyone.
But then with the physical copy, you also, again, museum coming out here, you get the joy of being a collector.
Correct.
And kind of like curating your own collection. And, it becomes a bit of like a reflection of yourself in a way.
And if I'm going to say one more kind of old man thing, and once again, 80s and 90s, I'm still in your bit.
Yeah.
The covers they used to have on the movies in the 80s and 90s, sometimes they didn't even relate to the movie, but they were little works of art,
Absolutely.
Yeah, like that's one of the things that I've been regretting recently was like when you scroll through Netflix and you don't always appreciate or you don't even get the same cover art if you're on different profiles.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, there used to be such a thrill again in finding the movie poster or seeing the first trailer or seeing the first poster for a movie.
Yeah, and you're like, what's this movie about? You know, it kind of got your brain ticking.
But do kids still buy movie posters? Are there walls full of posters and things like this? Or?
I don't know. You're the one with a teenager.
Yeah.
No, there's not that many posters up.
No.
At this point in time, she's only been a teenager a few months.
Okay.
So there's still time.
There's still time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll see what happens. But look, we've gone off on quite a few tangents.
It was good.
Sorry.
It was good. A great way to end our second season.
And it's been a good season. We've had another good time, haven't we?
Yeah.
We have. I know I joked at the start, but you guys from the very first episode have brought a great energy to the podcast. I actually didn't have to do that much molding or finessing or even like building you up. It was just getting you guys used to having the microphones under your faces.
Yeah.
But yeah, this has been a great journey, and I know we have excellent plans in place for season not only 3 but also 4.
Yeah, we've planned out guests for actually season 3. We've got our guests and themes for season 4. We're actually looking for our guest name for even season 5.
Yes.
So good times ahead.
Yep.
And thank you very much for supporting us so far. I know everyone at the school we worked at watch it. I'll probably get them at the new school I'm working at.
Yeah, I hope so. And look, and that actually has been one of the great parts now of this season, because we have released Thanks to You, Kate, this season, and the positive feedback we're getting from everyone out there and just how meaningful you're finding what we're talking about. It's made it all worth it, and we've loved doing it. So we're glad that our messages are getting across no matter what aspect of education we're getting to. We appreciate your positive feedback. So thank you, everyone out there, for your support too. Thank you, Kate, for everything
Absolutely, Kate.
behind the camera, reassuring us, making us feel like that we are professionals at some point. We appreciate it, and we love having you on this side of the desk as well.
Absolutely. And don't forget, like, share, subscribe.
Got it.
Thank you. I knew I'd get it right by the end of it. And throw us a comment.
Oh, look at that. It's extra now.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, well done, Rob.
Finally.
We did
I
it.
can say I'm officially,
High five.
we have a podcast.
Good on you, bro.
Absolutely.
Take us out, Rob, with that.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. And we'll see you for our first episode, season 3. Bye.
Why can I hear the music?